Hey, good evening, everybody. Karl Anderson here, talking with members this evening of Elmwood Underground, pending the upcoming debut, the release of your debut record, These, Thems, and Those, which comes out this Friday, April 24th, on all your favorite streaming services, and available for purchase and download as well. We'll talk about that in a second. Right away, I just want to sort of address the elephant, if you will. You guys released the debut single, Somebody Else Will, on February 28th. And 3 weeks later, you lost founding member Sean Cunnington, complications due to COVID-19. Absolutely tragic loss, especially following the release of something that you had all worked so hard to achieve. If you can, and in this format, I mean, obviously we are all self-isolating due to the time period that we are in, due to COVID-19. So we're doing this meeting via Zoom, and I thank you all for being here. But if you wouldn't mind, just sort of giving me your personal take on. Well, let's talk first about Sean before we get into the depth of the album, because I know that must be just a massive thing. Perhaps Scott, you wanna touch on that first?
Sure. I mean, yeah, of course. It was crazy. Like, here we were basically getting ready to celebrate the release of mainly his hard work. I mean, I'd say that, these songs he's been writing and thinking up for, I would say, 20 years. I mean, there were a collection of songs that he'd been working on for a long time, and finally got the people together to kind of put them out there. And to have this happen so soon after is very tragic. But I would say that at least they saw the light of day, let's say, before this happened, because if this had been a few weeks later, I mean, really, it would have been, he would never have seen it. And that would have been even worse, because this was his dream and his, a really big thing for him. So I'm glad that he got to see at least it finish, and, at least it was out there. So that was a positive out of this horrible situation, I think. So.
Fantastic. Dwayne, Tommy?
I'd have to say, Sean's passing was a loss on a lot of different levels. As bandmates, obviously, we had this body of work, ready to go, and, it's just tragic that he wasn't able to see the final release. As friends, we've known each other for a long time, and, we've, outside of music, he's always been a person that I can bounce ideas off of, and, just somebody that just had so much experience that he was willing to share with everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of, as we're along in it now, still a little bit of grieving still going on, but grateful for a lot more things now that we were able to get it out beforehand, so that we could say that we did it, because it was part of the early conversation when we got together before I'd even met Scott or Dwayne, going over just to record one song, which turned out to be Body Bag. And that was, like I had mentioned before, that was the genesis of our musical relationship and friendship. I couldn't even have foreseen where we have gotten to back then. It was really kind of cool to get invited out to be a part of something that I hadn't, out of left field. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind up till now. But
well, and I would say too, it's crazy because what we're going through with COVID-19, we're all at home, we're all quarantined, and sadly, to me, it feels like I just haven't heard from him in a while. He's doing his thing. He's doing, like we all are. We're all out there we're staying at home. We're self-isolating. We're not really seeing people. So sadly, I think, I don't want to speak for everybody, but maybe it's the same feeling that, like, it hasn't really hit you yet as hard as maybe it would have if this wasn't happening, you know?
I agree. It's
You know.
we haven't been able to go through the entire process yet. Immediately, what comes to mind is the fade out photo from the other night.
Yeah, that
It
was
just kind of
weird.
makes you realize it's like, well,
Yeah,
it kind of drove it home a little bit. And we haven't. I mean, for us, never. What about family? Like the
yeah,
closure, we're sort of in limbo here. To speak to what you're saying, yeah,
yeah,
it really is that. And I guess for myself, I never really thought of it, and it sounds kind of weird, but I'm glad that we're carrying it out. I don't want him to go. I want to prolong it so that as many people can hear it as possible, because that's it. This is our friend, and it's just it's a terrific thing. And if all we can do is make sure as many people hear it as possible, I'm all over it.
Well, I must say, as being someone that was fortunate enough to be involved in the latter stages before Sean's passing, I've heard the entire record. I think the record is fantastic. It's a real credit to your guys' musicianship, the years that you've all put in. Let's talk a little bit about that, because Elmwood Underground isn't sort of the standard genesis through origin of a band, right? So it starts with a vision of a song, and then who would like to speak to that? Like, what, you know, 'cause it's not like you guys all played together for a decade and then decided to put out a record. It was a slightly different process.
Yeah, I'll start off and say that I've seen a few different versions of the songs over the years that I've been working with Sean, and the cool thing about it is that in the tradition of great bands is that the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. In this case, what everybody brings really made this album a great album.
And again, to go back to it, it's Sean is the thread that holds everything together. I mean, you guys have, Dwayne and Scott, have known Sean longer than I have, and have played live with him and stuff like that. And so for me, it's other than knowing that the songs have been around for a while and whatnot, in maybe different incarnation, never released, but for me it was all new. Everything is brand new, and it's funny enough that I hadn't even met you guys until a couple of songs in. It was just Sean called me up and say, hey, we got this song like that, and he'd send me some demo versions, whatnot, and I just learn it, get in there and howl it out. And then he'd say, oh, well, you'll meet Dwayne and Scott. I'll have them coming over to lay down their parts and stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, it's great. And it is great because it's two more great guys. So I think that if on one hand, I'm really happy, grateful for that we're still friends and that we're part of something pretty special. And but I wonder if we had known each other like when I was younger, and what could we have done then besides get up to no good?
I think that's sort of a testament to Sean's vision, right? Because he had been working on these songs, like literally some of these songs, as far as I know, are like 20 years old. They're ideas that he put down on tape and then on his computer, and he kept working them. And then he'd meet someone, he'd try that singer, and he'd have a version of that. And then he'd be like, okay, maybe in his mind that wasn't the right thing, so he'd put it sort of away. And then then he'd meet this guy and he'd play with this guy, and then eventually I met him and he said, hey, I got a couple songs, like do you want to try drumming on them? I went, okay, sure. So I go over there, I play drums, and he goes, my good friend Dwayne, I play in a band with him, he's going to throw bass down. It's going to be awesome. And then, okay. And then it was sort of like, you know, there really wasn't a singer yet. There was versions of singing. I even sang a couple of the songs at first. Then Sean sang some of them, but there really wasn't a cohesive sort of unit. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like, oh, there's this guy Tommy. He's coming over. He's going to sing. It's, oh, cool. Okay, so that was his vision. Whereas he kind of started one place, and if you connect the dots, there's all these different musicians and versions and everything else. And now this is the final project. So that's what I meant. Like when he put this out, he was super proud of it because in his mind, he'd been working on this his whole life. You know, and for Tommy, it was just the last whatever year or so or 2 years, and for me it was maybe the last 7 years maybe. And obviously Dwayne's been there a lot longer.
I was lucky then because I didn't have to suffer through all of that, because I heard, interestingly enough, I heard some of the earlier versions of these songs, and then it's the great part is Sean, it's not something that Sean had all of this music, he had all these things perfectly down. The songs evolved as all the new parts came in, because he would go back in and it'd be like the next day there would be all these other guitars and everything on it. And I'm like,
yeah, I don't know how he did it either.
More hours in your day than mine.
Yeah, because Sean got up every day at 5 o'clock,
yeah,
I believe.
Yeah.
And then he would call me when I got up and I'm getting ready for work. He might call me at like 8 o'clock, and I'd be like, oh, hey, 7:30, but hey, Sean, it's pretty early. And he'd be like, oh man, I've already had a meeting and I'm having to do another one. And I'm going like, okay. And yet the night before we may have recorded, and then after I left at like 10 o'clock, he starts mixing because he couldn't help himself because he really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And then the next day, like I talked to him and he'd be like, oh, I mixed it. It sounds pretty good, but I'm going to work on it when I go from work. Then he'd get home from work. Then he'd say, didn't like the guitars on it. I'm not happy with the guitars. I'm like, Sean, they sound great. No, I'm going to redo them. Okay. And then the next day he sends me a song, and it's like you say, there's like all new guitars, perfectly done. And it's just like, and then he's at work again at like, at 7 the next day. And I'm thinking like the same thing. How are you doing this? Like, how does this work? So that was
something on a personal level that I always admired. The guy was just ridiculously organized
and driven.
Just
crazy.
In every aspect of what he did.
Yeah, and the beauty of it as well, I never felt like pressure, with Sean's rules, right? It's got to be fun, and he reinforced that every time he felt he had to, because I never felt any kind of sort of undue pressure to be ready, or it has to happen by this time or something like that. It was always more so on myself. I wanted to make him proud, and I want everybody else. I wanted you guys to. I'm like, I want them to hear this, especially before I'd ever met you, because I don't know.
Well, and he worked so hard at it himself, right? That you didn't want to be the person to kind of go.
I don't want to let him down.
Yeah,
I want to make him proud.
He just did 15 guitar tracks like the day before, and you're going like, oh, I just want to take one pass at this. I'm okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure, it was really, it was really cool to come together at the end, and as I said before, to get it done. And thank God again, because he mixed it, he mastered it. Like I don't know that anyone else could have done that, because he knew all the parts and what he wanted and what he didn't. So it's just so crazy that this whole thing kind of just went up and was done, and now he's gone. Like, that's the crazy part.
And to that end as well, like from the beginning, after recording the first couple of songs with him, that's what he shared with me, that he had the health issues and whatnot, and you'd never know it to look at him. I'm like, oh, okay. And so because he always looked so good, like picture of health, it didn't really sink in. But the goal was like, playing everybody else's music for so long, he wanted to like have legacies, like put something out of his own that he can stand on, be proud of, and or leave behind. And it's like, oh yeah, there's a great feeling. Yeah, let's get it done. And it really hit home when it's like, did he know something that we didn't? Like, it was just Sean to be on top of things and make things happen.
Yeah.
But wow, so I'm really glad for that. I'm glad that we got to share the first single released and hang out together and take the photos and stuff like that with Karl. It couldn't have worked out better than that.
Yeah, it's crazy. The timing, it's crazy.
Those are the really fulfilling memories that are terrific to have.
For sure.
Yeah.
In terms of the recording process, like you said, it went on for many years, and songs in different incarnations and all of that. Were there any particular, because it's a full length LP, right? These, Thems, and Those is an 8-song release. Were there any particular standouts for you guys in particular on an individual basis?
A couple for me, yes. Well, maybe more than a couple. Right from the get-go, the first one, someone had mentioned to Sean after they heard my voice on the first track, said it sounds like a love child of Rod Stewart and Bad Company guy. Sorry, Paul Rogers. And I'm like, I'll take that. Okay.
Yeah, pretty heavy hitters, sure.
Yeah, and in no particular order, but another one was a song that's on there called Mayday that I've had kicking around from Karl when we were roommates in Parkdale. So we're talking maybe 7 years.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones, one of mine I've had kicking around, and it was never recorded. I only ever sat down and played it on the acoustic. And I brought that to Sean, and because I'm like, Sean, can you help me finish this song? Never intending for it necessarily to be recorded or anything like that. And his enthusiasm, he's immediately, and that speaks to his skill and his knowledge and passion. He literally took what I played and just phrased it a little differently. He says, it's going to sound different, but just sing the same thing. And I love it. Like he helped me finish something that just been kind of dragging along for a long time, and I've something I could be really proud of, and I'm really grateful that he helped me with that.
Well, that's one of my favorites too. That tune, for sure.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
It's a great tune. It's
I mean, the top to bottom, all the playing on that. It's all original. It's never been done before. So, and I don't know that it could ever be any better. The sounds that you guys got, like the drum sounds and Dwayne's bass playing is exactly as Sean always said it was. He says, you won't believe it. You won't believe this. He's not like, Berklee School of Music trained. He's just natural. And good Lord, absolutely, right? So I'm really, really proud of that, and I'm grateful. So I mean, we're like this forever now, whether you like it or not. Last one, again, no particular order, is In the Light.
Right.
In my opinion, that is the best piece of music I've ever been involved in. It just is. I listening back and right from the beginning, and I said that to Sean right from the early vocal passes. I said, this is the best song I've ever been a part of.
Now that one, correct me if I'm wrong, that Dwayne wrote that one, right? Or some of it, or
I did that song started on the bass, all of it.
Okay.
And then it was the vocals were hashed out with a friend of mine that I was in a band with some years before, and
even the original vocals on that, because I drove around listening to that song before I'd ever put anything to it at all, and I thought to myself, I'm like, well, I have to be better than that. Well, I got to at least do my best.
Yeah.
And that particular one, that was, Sean had built the tubing vocal chamber with moving blankets and everything like that. And I was in my own little world inside there, and I could just imagine the faces I made, but I gave it everything I had because I felt like the best piece of music I've ever been involved with. No one has to agree with me. That's the way I feel, and I'm allowed. So,
No, but that's
I know Dwayne wrote it, but I didn't want to say it. I wanted someone else to say it because I didn't want to seem like I was just blowing smoke. Because
no, like that's why it was cool, because like that's what Sean would do, right? He like usually how it went is I'd come over and I'd record some drums on one song, and then we'd always be finished like rather quickly or whatever, and then he'd say, oh, and I'd say, well, the mics are up, and why don't we do something else? Okay, well, I got this idea, like check this out. Dwayne sent me this song, well, let's hear it. And I'm listening. Oh, it sounds really good. He goes, yeah, I want to change it up a bit though. I want to do this, so I'm going to work on that, and then we'll record the drums for that next time. And then like again, just like we talked about before, he'd take a week. And then he'd call me on the next Tuesday. It's usually a Tuesday night because I'd be able to drive from work on Tuesday. He'd call me, all right, can you make it this Tuesday? You got to lay drums down for In the Light or whatever. In the Light? I don't even know the name of the song.
Yeah, In the Light.
Yeah. But then I get there, and it's like a whole other song. He's like, well, we slowed it down a bit. I want you to do like a 4/4 thing, and we're going to have this and that. And that. Okay, and then we record the drums, and it became the song all of a sudden, and then I remember he wasn't happy with the bridge, I believe. He didn't like what he did in the bridge or something. So he's like, he played it, and I was like, I think it sounds great. No, don't like the bridge. Don't like the bridge. Okay. And then, just like Sean, the next day, wrote a new bridge. I got it. I got a bridge for it. I'm just like, cool, okay. And check your Dropbox. There's a new song, new bridge. I'm like, okay. And then he just did it, right? So it was cool. So that's why, as playing the drums on and everything, like I got to hear it sort of in its infancy on a lot of these songs, is they're just sort of like almost demos, and then I'd kind of be out of the picture for a bit and everyone else do their part, and then all of a sudden it's like this new baby. Here it is. Like, oh wow, that's what you did with it. Cool,
That's exciting.
So it's neat, right?
Conversely, it's like I would get, well, and I would ask for it. I would get every little new thing. I'm like, send it to me, send it to me, send it to me. So I have lots of them. Lots and lots. All the way back from the canned drums that Sean used to play.
Yeah. Like I have them too somewhere. I have like emails and stuff. So it's cool. But but that's, I like that one. Then he had, I think Neil came in and put the horns on that one, right?
Yeah, the sax. Yeah, you added sax to it. Yeah.
And he put all the horns on it and stuff. And like that's again, that's a vision. Like he's like, I want to get this feel. I want to slow it down a bit. I want a 4 on the floor, just bap, bap, bap. Okay, and all of a sudden, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, there's this really cool new song that sort of came out.
And as well as some of the, I was always glazed over because I was too busy listening to how awesome everything was. And Sean said, "Oh, I've got this friend coming over," and he laid some keys down, and I'm like, holy crap. And then the harp, and then he says, oh, I've got my friend Kim, she's coming, she's going to do some backing vocals stuff. So he's like, I'd like you to be here if you can, so that you can have your input. And I was still a little bit not shy, but sort of like, oh well, maybe no, it's like, no, Sean, you know what you're doing. But then it wasn't long after that I'm like, no. I mean, Karl would know me. I'm just like, I got to get my thing in there. And that was fantastic. Like, she was terrific too. God, her last name slips my mind right now, but Kim, she's grateful. You can hear her throughout all the songs. And
Kim Aaron's Pratt.
Yes. Thank you very much. And what a delight. What a delight. And she got me really good one time, and for In the Light, where I'm saying to, there's this the line, who you fucking kidding? And she's like, oh, I don't swear. And I'm like, oh, what about shut? And she laughs. She's like, get the fuck out of here. Of course I do.
Nice.
So she was terrific on that, like that. And no, like everybody else, no attitude, no none of that. It was just a real pleasure to work with everybody I only really met Kim other than you guys, but all the guys, he just, I got this guy coming over today. I call him the slide player because he played slide on Car. What's the name of that song?
Body Bag.
No.
Oh,
The re-record.
the whip. Oh, Catfish.
Catfish, yeah. And he says, I got this guy coming over, and he literally sent me a audio clip via text, and it sounded like shit. But I'm like, awesome. And all this,
Chris,
like, you just could. And this is before I really knew the history of Sean, like about all the music school and the real history. It was we were so busy living life. And I was enjoying being a part of it and thinking on to the next thing that I never ever really I had opportunity, but never really thought to. I have my friend. I don't need to find out about him. And then it was after the fact that I all night one night just sort of going back and learning about Sean before I'd ever met him, and I'm just like, holy shit! I had to send some to my mom. I'm like, Mom, this was Sean,
Right. from
the T-Rocks from the school. Just it was an interview we did on local television or something like that, and it's just like okay, to a T. That's Sean. Nothing fake, no put-ons, anything like that. It was just him. All about the enthusiasm for music. It's great.
And it was fantastic that he was still with us for the release of Somebody Else Will, the debut single. That was a huge moment, I know, for him, for all of you guys, I'm sure. Fantastic song as well. Like, what an earworm. That's probably the most common term that I've heard people use to describe it. And then, so I understand there's also a video in the works.
Yes. Well, we as a tribute, and also not unlike how we are right now in split screen, quad screen, whatever you want to call it. We wanted to ask everybody that wanted to be a part of it in any fashion, either sing along, dance along, just smile and wave, so that we could, and not including ourselves as well, and so that we could make it a bit of a keepsake and time capsule for this particular time, what we're all going through so we're isolating, but we're not alone, and it's a tribute to our friend and a keepsake that in the digital world will live in perpetuity.
And then we had the follow-up with the second single, All Night. I love this song. It's just the groove of it. It sits so comfortably. I'm not sure the origin of it, but just it takes you on a journey. It tells you a story. I really like it. And Dwayne, you want to speak to All Night at all?
I'll probably back up a little bit and say, like, yeah, I've seen some of the songs evolve, and again, the whole theme of the whole being greater than the sum of the parts. I've seen the parts come together. Scott and myself, we started some of the early demos, and the rhythm section was never really in question, in the sense that, like, when I hear Scott playing drums, like, I get I get what he's trying to do. It's just so natural to me. Maybe other people feel the same way. That's why you're such an in-demand guy, Scott. And there's no question about Sean's wizardry in terms of constructing, the dynamics of the song. All Night, if you want to take that for example, he sent me in the early stages of it. It was basically two chords, just a track, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But then it's like it just kept building and it kept building, and the bridge was a big point.
What a bridge! What a bridge!
Yeah, exactly. A pivotal a pivotal moment that really gave the song a whole new vibe.
Yeah.
And the last piece, and this doesn't just apply to All Night, but Tommy coming on board was, and I'll puff your ego up a bit here. It was just like this eureka moment with all of the songs where it's like, that's the piece we were missing. Just that right combination of just gritty, smoky, musical tones that your voice.
I'm so grateful that it was me, and with All Night. I mean, when I first got that, it was I think it was probably Sean on can drums and just the harmony chorus.
It was just All Night.
Yeah.
All right.
All Night.
Yeah.
All right.
And then everything got built off of that.
So I'm kind of proud of that one too, because he just said, "Here, write something," and it was like all the other songs. It fit. It's as if that I was a part of the writing from the beginning, because it's so natural. I'd always had a hard time trying to sing something that I don't believe, or I don't feel like I can associate with or be a part of. And case in point, All Night, or In the Light, I should say. Well, all of them. But after All Night, I really felt like I was at least up to par in the band, that I could contribute from scratch to the abilities of everybody else. And I think I think we can all feel kind of proud that, because these songs have been around for however long they have, this was the right mix. All of us.
I think I know myself. I feel really fortunate that Sean brought us together to make this. The thing about the record, aside from wanting to honor just the amount of work that Sean put into this, is that it's a really good album. Like just independently of anything else related to his passing, it's great music that deserves to be out there, and it deserves to be heard, and even more so in the context of ensuring that the amount of work he put into it himself gets properly rewarded.
Well,
yeah. I'm reading some things about Sean that say, like a musician, guitar player, producer, this whatnot. Sean was a composer. That's what I came to realize. He was a composer, in that we had issues trying to figure out the bridges for some things, which are like that, and then it would just be, without going into detail of particular songs so much, but pretty much all of them, where on the spot, he'd be like, "I know this," and he's like, "Give me a minute." Boom, and you get it. Like it's just leads you down the path. So it made it easy.
He certainly had a fantastic musical mind. I was blown away. I had the privilege to sit with him in the studio, listening to the tracks before the final album was put together, and I was just blown away. The diversity of the songs, but yet they all sound like Elmwood Underground. Like there's a cohesive sound, but not every song sounds the same. There is zero formula. You know what I mean? They're all just great standout compositions. My personal favorite is It Kind of Blows My Mind. I think that's an absolute standout track. I play that one quite often. So kudos to all of you. You guys, you made a fantastic record, and you really, really have something to be proud of.
Yeah, I go along with everything the guy said. I think it's a really, I think the whole thing put together, you know, it's Sean's vision and it's his mind at work. And when you listen to it, you can totally tell. You can listen to every song and go, okay, I know what he's thinking here and where he's going there. And it's some of the songs like are so different, but they're the same because it's all the same. It's the same mind, right? It's the same kind of vision. So yeah, and, I mean, you know, I can't wait to hear them all again in order, like, because again, as musicians, like, I don't know, I'm just speaking for myself, but I don't sit around and like play it from start to finish and all. Like I've listened to snippets here and snippets there, but it'll be nice to just have it as a finished product where I can just go bang, 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 and listen to the whole thing again, because you don't get to do that. You get to hear it like I say, I hear it with drums, and I hear it with this, and I hear it with the bass, and I hear it with, you know, like this, and then it builds, and then you hear the final product. So it'll be nice to just have it all in one sort of box, if you will, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
What about sort of, this is, I mean, nobody knows what tomorrow brings at this point, but in terms of
I know where you're going.
In terms of long term, when people can reconvene again, is there going to be an opportunity for people to see a live performance or a celebration of life for Sean pertaining to this record, or is that in the works at all, or something that's been thought of?
If I might say, aside from any concrete plans or anything like that, it would be an absolute shame to not let these songs see the light of stage,
right.
at least once. That would be, to me, it would be a shame not to. We're perfectly capable, but first things first. We've got the release, and there are enough people interested, and with the tribute video, it'd be nice for everybody to be able to see it and see themselves in it and be able to share it, and also as a keepsake, it's a reminder of the time that when we can look back, that we, you know, that we made it through, and remember our friend. It's be hard to forget, but it will always be a real joy to be able to look back and see some of these things. It'd be really, really, really nice. Yeah.
Guys, I applaud you on a body of work well done. Kudos to you for moving forward with the release plans. I know we had spoken off camera, and you'd said that Sean would have wanted that. He would have wanted the releases to go as planned. So I applaud you for doing that, and it's congratulations again. I think it's a standout record. I can't wait for people to hear it. I can't wait for you guys to have this record completed and done and out there for the world. And I thank you so much for your time tonight, guys. Thank you, Scott, Dwayne, Tommy.
Thank you, Karl.
What a pleasure. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody.
Again.
Have a good night, everyone.
See you soon.
Thanks.
Every day I wake up thinking about what you say.